Well, hello and welcome to the latest edition of the About Small Business podcast. This is episode 14, and in this episode I'm going to be speaking to Hev Govan from Lady Magnolia Decorating Services. If you are enjoying what we're doing, can you please like and subscribe to the channel and click the notifications button, and that'll tell you whenever we're releasing something new. So Hev, thank you so much for joining us.
Hi, thank you.
Really great to speak to you. So, Lady Magnolia Decorating Services.
Lady Magnolia Decorating.
Yeah. Lady Magnolia Decorating, keep me right. So, can you tell me a little bit about the service that you offer?
All aspects of decorating, really. I hold a level 3 NVQ and ACA qualification, which I got when I was, 19 from Carillion. So I'm trained in all aspects of painting, interior, exterior, although I try to stay away from exterior because it's British weather and things. All wallpapering, murals. If you have a look on my page, you'll see a couple of years ago I did a Back to the Future one on a staircase. I was really proud of that. I'm actually qualified to do special effects, but no one asks for that. Rag rolling, marbling, graining, things like that. Right, so basically all aspects of decorating. Yeah. Right, great stuff. So in terms of how you arrived there, was there any sort of particular sort of choice? At what point did you realise that was what you wanted to do? Well, it's a funny story because, like most teenagers, I had no idea what I wanted to do. And on my dad's side of the family, they were all into catering, like they owned bakeries. Right. My granddad had a bakery, and then my uncle had a bakery. So strong family business. Yeah, so it took on, and then both my cousins, two of my cousins on my dad's side were doing it, and my auntie. And I thought maybe if I got into that side of things, I'd have a bit more support. Right. So I went I can't remember if I was in year 10 or year 11. We had an interview with like a careers advisor. Yeah. And I sat in the room, and both my parents were there. And the guy said, what grades do you think you're going to get? And me being so underconfident, I just said what I thought I was going to get. And he just sat and he went, well, you're not going to get 5 GCSEs, so you might want to think about doing something else. So all of my hopes of going into the catering business and things like that were completely dashed. Right, okay. So I mean, you mentioned that you weren't particularly confident at school. No. Did you enjoy it? Or? No, I hated school. Really? Oh, yeah, I was bullied all the way throughout school. And the only time I'd noticed the bullying, I didn't actually know I was bullied that much. I didn't actually notice it when it stopped. I just remember sitting one day going, I haven't been called a meth in ages. Really? Yeah, I was bullied that much. I had a I had a really bad childhood, to be honest. Right. Really bad. But so naturally, I just didn't have the confidence, and I just didn't know what I wanted to do. I didn't think I was gonna mount or anything. And school did nothing to no to address that. No, that is a shame. Because obviously you'd hope that would happen. Hopefully that wouldn't be the case now. So you've quite a low confidence from your school. Yeah, quite bad. Your careers interviewer tells you basically you can't do something that you want to do. That was the careers advice, and I did actually go see another careers advice. I won't name the company. A couple of years later to move away from maybe decorating and maybe get into nursing or things like that, and I was met with the same attitude of, well, you don't have this and you don't have that, or you can't do this and you can't do that. And, right. So being told that I wasn't gonna get into catering and I wasn't gonna get 5 GCSEs, I just thought, I just had this random idea that I was gonna go into the army. Okay. So I was really obsessed with like things like camouflage. I used to have the fashion back in 2003 and 4 was like, these baggy trousers with the chains on, and anything that had like camouflage on, I was obsessed with, and I just thought, I'm going to go in the army. And the college that I was looking at is actually no longer there. In North Hilton Road, it was Hilton College. It's actually now, it's not there anymore. It's actually just houses now. And I went there with my mum on the open day, kind of looking into like maybe getting signed up somewhere to join the army. I don't think my mum was totally happy about that, but she just went along with it. Right. And we kind of got lost, and we stumbled across the painting and decorating section. Okay. And it wasn't there wasn't any like students in there or apprentices actually doing anything. But it was these paintings on the wall.
Right.
It was like these windows, but they were painted on. They weren't actual windows. You know,
Yeah.
they were painted on, and all these leaves were painted on. And I do like art as well. I've actually got a B in art.
Well, I was just going to ask you that.
Yeah.
I mean, at school, were you finding any kind of sort of sanctuary, any solace within art?
Yeah, I did sculpture. So I liked. So I straight away I knew I was more hands-on.
Right. So
Not academic. I was more hands-on, building things and painting things and.
Right. Within art though, you preferred, like, I suppose, the 3D as opposed to 2D rather than sitting down and sketching.
Yeah.
Was that you prefer your clay modelling or that kind of thing?
Yeah. So I saw all that and I saw the cubicles. You know, like the mini little fake rooms that you have, and I saw the instructor there, and I just looked around and I said, "Ma'am, I want to be a painter and decorator." She was like, "What?" It was just a massive change. But the thing is, with being a painter and decorator as well, it's like you're not stuck in one place.
Yeah.
You get to travel around and you're with different people and you get to do different things most of the time.
Yeah.
And that's probably why I thought about joining the army as well, because I thought in the army you're going to be, you know, you're going to be trained and eating right, and you know, and you're not going to be sat on a desk or something, because that was
absolutely not.
The idea of sitting on a desk with the same people doing the same thing day in, day out, it just absolutely horrified me. I'm a free bird, you know, I like to be here, there, everywhere.
Right. So basically at school you did actually enjoy art. I mean, did you do much sort of sculpting, drawing or things outside of school, or?
No. I did do some painting at home.
I'm just interested, just with you saying your childhood wasn't especially happy, just wondering if you found any sort of
drawing
solace from that.
Yeah, when I was really young, I was really into Pokemon, and and on the TV guide that we had this picture of Ash Ketchum and Pikachu, and it was about this big.
Yeah.
And I spent absolutely ages redrawing that on an A4 piece, and I came downstairs and I showed my mum and dad. And they were like, "No, you've traced that." And I went, I haven't traced it. And says, I have picked up my art a little. I think my sister's more got it because my mum is an artist. So unfortunately, she did waste it, but she was a fantastic artist.
Right.
She you know, like draw like real life, and she photogenic really. I know it sounds biased, but like when I look at art, I always just think no one's better than my mum.
Well, if someone's good, they're good.
No, she was excellent, yeah, but unfortunately she just wasted it.
So basically, your mum, then obviously there's some artistic talent on that side, a business on the other side.
On my dad's side, yeah.
So but it wasn't something that you were yearning to be at school. You didn't have any sort of childhood dreams, or just that you wanted to survive school and get out.
I think it was just survival, basically. I had it in my head at one point I was going to be an inventor, and then I decided I wanted to be an archaeologist because I was watching Time Team.
Yeah.
With Tony Robinson. What's he called?
I don't watch Time Team.
It was on when I was a kid, and I just thought the idea of like digging fossils and things. I don't know. I thought, okay, I'm going to be an archaeologist. So
I mean, you've clearly got an imagination. There's lots of sort of ideas sort of bouncing around.
I bounced around a little bit, and then I fell into decorating. So I ended up I had two options. So there was one with CITB, and I think you did get a wage with that one.
What's CITB? Sorry.
Construction.
Is this a course that you're going to do?
I can't. I don't know if they're still around.
So, and once you left school, what was your first step once you left school? Was that when you were looking to go to college at 16?
This was when I was still in school. So you were when you were coming towards the end of year 11. You know, you were encouraged to start looking at colleges. You know, a lot of people going off to Sunderland College or looking for apprenticeships and things. And but I had the two options of when I said, okay, I'm going to be a painter and decorator. So the two options I was given was a place at CITB, which would have seen me go to maybe Hilton College.
Yeah.
What the place I saw. Or the other one was Carillion.
Right.
And I went with the Carillion one. And I actually remember going for my interview. And because I come from poverty, I come from nothing, I didn't know what to wear. So I ended up wearing my prom shoes, because they were black and they were smart. I wore my school trousers and my school shirt and a black jacket. And I remember walking halfway across the Weir Bridge thinking, I've left me record of achievement book at home with all my certificates and everything in, and I thought, oh no, it's too late to go back now.
Yeah.
And I had my interview, and the interview, it's amazing like how things change when you look back and thinking things like that just wouldn't happen now, you know.
Yeah.
And one of our things in the interview was they built up like this massive, scaffold tower,
Right.
and you had to climb up it because they have to see if you're scared of heights, then you're no good as a decorator.
Never really crossed my mind, but yeah, that makes sense.
So I was given a hard hat, which was loose.
I'm assuming you're okay with heights.
Oh yeah, and it was set up in the joinery section.
Yeah.
And when you climbed up, it looked into the canteen. So there's me wearing my basically school uniform and prom shoes and a hard hat on, and I had to go on the inside and climb all the way up. And just for the instructors to go, "You're not that high, you can come back down now." And all the lads was in the canteen and just pointing and laughing, going, "What's she doing?" You know. And and I came down, and then I remember going in the office, and I didn't know it at the time, which I know now, but I was just going to get hired anyway because I was a girl. It was kind of like a positive discrimination thing, you know. How
do you feel about
that? A little bit miffed, but I kind of understand it, because if as a company they want to look good, they want to start. See, inclusivity wasn't really too much of an issue in 2004, but I suppose they were wanting to,
attempting to address it.
So they asked me questions. I was like, math. I mean, I'm useless at maths, to be honest. And they said, "Okay, this wall is 3 meters by 2. How many rolls of wallpaper do I need?" I was like, I just couldn't work it out. And they just said, "Oh yeah, just don't worry. Oh, you've got the job, but when you leave, please don't say anything. You know, don't go woo like that. You know."
Really? Mm-hmm. That's interesting.
Because they didn't want to make it obvious.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's right, and in terms of that, you're a bit disappointed to find that out, or
no, I didn't think anything of it.
No,
I was only 16. So.
Yes, I suppose you don't really care at that age, do you? So you got a job.
I was just great, and I walked up.
I mean, I'm possibly going off a slight tangent. How do you feel about it now? In terms, like, any kind of positive. I mention it because it is an issue.
I think there's a little bit of an issue, you know.
Yeah, I think there's a little bit of kickback. A lot of people saying how unfair it is, and I can kind of see both sides. I think you're possibly the first person I've ever spoken to that's I don't want to say been subjected to it. You were subjected to it, but it kind of worked out for you in a way, didn't it?
It did. It went in my favour.
So, I mean, how do you think you'd feel? Because you've got a son, haven't you? Mm-hmm. How would you feel if your son was adversely affected by that?
I would be disappointed, but I think by the time Ben's an adult, I think the world would have changed yet again. Yeah. So how we see the world now it's going to be different again in 20 years.
Yeah.
Although not everything's changed. So this was 2004.
Yeah.
And I thought, okay, I've been hired, which means sexism is obviously a thing of the past, you know. But obviously, how wrong was I? So I did. You did your 12 weeks, and when these 12 weeks, when we started, you were given your overalls, your shoes. Health and safety still wasn't too much of a big issue back then, so we weren't forced into wearing hard hats. We weren't forced into wearing like goggles and masks and high visors and gloves and everything else that came with it. We were taught the manual handling, preparation of services, the different paints and things like that. And then once you got all the basics, you were put onto a site.
Yeah.
So they were looking for companies, and I went with this old guy who I'm not even sure if he's still alive anymore. But being still a bouncy then 17-year-old who just come from school with still undiagnosed with ADHD.
Right.
So naturally I struggled because I am who I am, you know.
Yeah.
And I like to have fun, I like to have a laugh, I like to have banter, and it didn't work out. There was just, I got accused of putting a CD on or something in someone's house. I can't remember because we're going back 20 years. There was something, and I was only there a few weeks. And I got back into Carillion, and my instructor Derek, who I'm still in contact with a little bit, said, "Oh, he's just said, oh, there's no more work on. He hasn't got any more work." So I didn't really think about it. Spent that Christmas in Carillion, had the Christmas holidays, came back, went on with a different company. It was like a bigger painting contract company. Once again, I was with them for 3 weeks, and the guy I was working with was drawing on the walls. So it was a construction site, basically. There was these buildings getting built in Bolden, near a lake. They're still there. And I was there when all that was getting built. And then he went on holiday. And then I got accused of writing on the walls when it wasn't my handwriting or anything. And then they put me in a hotel to strip all his wallpaper off.
Right.
And then they were basically saying I was going in and out of people's rooms and going through their things when I wasn't.
So you essentially been picked on.
I was getting scapegoated, 100%. Right. And I still didn't really think about it too much. So I've lost that site straight away.
Yeah.
I'm now on this site. I'm doing what I'm told. I'm doing everything that I'm supposed to be doing. And I'm still getting blamed for things and then not being believed. And I'm getting sacked again. By this point, I can't remember the man's name, but I got pulled into the main office in Carillion.
Yeah.
And Derek was there. He probably might remember this. And they just said, are you sure that, you want to be a painter and decorator? Is there not anything else that you might want to do? And so the alarm bell should have been ringing back then. This was misogyny coming out,
I was just about to ask
you. You clearly don't fit as a painter and decorator. This is a man's world, and are you sure there's not anything else you want to do? And says, go have a look at the job centre. So I don't know if the job centre's still there in Southwick, but it's up a big hill. And I walked up, and it was when the jobs were still on the little cards.
Yeah.
And I looked at all the cards, and I just thought, no, there isn't anything I want to do, So I just stopped at Carillion, and basically I was just a stubborn bugger, and I came out with level 3.
It's interesting actually, because just listening to you talking about school, and then about this experience that you've had with Carillion. I'm not sure whether we should mention them, but they've gone bust now. Yeah, they're gone now, so hopefully no one will get too upset with us. But you don't really appear to have any real animosity about it. You're explaining that to me, and you sound quite matter of fact about it. I don't know.
There was a lot of sexism.
Yeah,
things that I look back on now, which I didn't. When you're 16, 17, 18, you don't think anything of. But when you're 20 years older and you look back and you think, oh bloody hell,
But I mean, what I'm finding interesting is listening to you. Is you're quite matter of fact about it. Almost, I don't know, dare I say, as though you do kind of, you're thinking, well, that's life. But
the thing is, when you're that age, you think, well, this is how it is, and if I don't just get on with it, then that's it.
How do you feel about that now, though?
Oh, I'm angry. Obviously, I shouldn't have been sacked from all these different sites, because obviously at the end of the day, it was because I was a girl.
Yeah.
And I ended up with this company, and they were nice to me, and I was with them for quite a while. But naturally, they was genuine. The work did dry up.
Yeah.
Around Sunderland, and they went back down to Hartlepool and Middlesbrough and that. And then I went off for another guy, and he was okay, but he had this man working with him who was a terrible, nasty, sexist.
Make sure you get that one right.
Not edit that out. Horrible misogynist. And I remember the very first day I got there, and one of the blokes, I definitely know he has actually passed on now. And I got in the car, and the one that wasn't really horrible to us, he said, first things first, are you a Maggie? Means, are you from Newcastle? I went, no. And he goes, welcome to the team.
So football overrides sexism.
So as long as I wasn't from Newcastle, it was fine. But the other guy wasn't happy. I was, by this point, 18, 19, and this guy, I know he was about 42.
Right.
And this the horrible one. And straight away, he was trying to flirt. He was already trying to push boundaries. So by that age, I thought, I don't like this man straight away. He made me feel really uncomfortable.
Right.
And anything that I was doing, it was wrong. I was doing it wrong. Every time. It didn't matter what I was doing. So he was trying to beat my confidence down straight away. And then we finished on painting this house. And I went to put my coat back on, and I put my hand in my sleeve, and he'd put paint on the inside of my sleeve. And then there was bricks in my bag. And I just lost it at him. And I went to go and hit him, because I thought enough's enough,
Yeah.
And my boss obviously separated us, and he goes, no, look, it's fine. And I was like straight away in the bath, and I'm trying to clean all this paint off my coat and that. And he could see how upset I was, and I think he gave us a lift to the bus station. Yeah, I think he must have known what he was like, and it wasn't fair what he was doing. I mean, there's banter and playing around, and then there's just plain bullying.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he was a massive bully. But our boss liked to go on holiday quite a bit as well, and back then it wasn't really done with bank transfers and things like that. You were given money in an envelope.
Yeah.
and we were on this another student accommodation place in Sunderland, and I should have known because he was quite like that, you know.
Yeah.
And I should have known something was amiss. So he gave the other bloke his wages. The other lad that was working with us, he got his envelope, and straight away it was like, oh yeah, he didn't give me he didn't give me your money. He took my money. He took my wages.
Really?
Yeah, he stole them.
Is that something that's been addressed since, or
It
did.
did.
Just got away with it, or
He kind of got away with it for a little bit because I kept kicking up a stink.
yeah,
So Carillion were giving me about £15 a week.
Yeah.
Going back a long time.
Yes.
And then the site were expected to pay the rest of it. I can't know how much that was at the time. But I kept kicking up a stink, and by then I was put on yet another site, you know.
yeah.
And I got a cheque for £100, which actually I think that wasn't what I was owed. I think I was actually owed more, but I had to just let it go in the end.
So you're putting up with an awful lot. I mean, were you not tempted just to get a different career? Because
Well, no, because I'd been told I wasn't good enough for anything else. Because I think it was before that happened. I had gone back to the careers advice company.
Yeah.
I don't know if they're still around, but yet again, I was just met with, well, you can't do this, and you can't do that, and you haven't got this, and you haven't got that, and so I was just felt, well, I can't do anything else. I'm stuck. I may as well stay here.
That seems to be going through an awful lot. I mean, that must have been affecting your mental health.
Oh, quite bad. You know, like my anxiety. So the one company that didn't sack us, I remember spilling some paint somewhere, and I think I ran off. I was like an outside painter.
Yeah.
They were contracted for Sunderland Council at the time. We were modernising the kitchens and the bathrooms and painting on the outside of these houses in Ford Estate in Sunderland. And I remember spilling some paint, and I ran away crying because I thought, I'm going to get sacked.
Yeah.
It's an instant dismissal. But it wasn't a big deal to them. They just got this spray, this, you know, like a power.
Sort of dealt with it and
just dealt with it and say, you know, it was just seen as an accident, you know, like. But it was.
I mean, how did you feel about that? I mean, that must have been.
I was
given everything that you've been through, which caused you to like run off and cry, which I think is perfectly understandable.
Yeah.
I mean, was that? Is it kindness? I mean, I don't know. It's is that the first time anyone was nice to you?
Company, and I had not experienced that before.
Right.
Yeah, I was actually looked after by them. It was just so sad that the work had, it come to an end, and they moved back down to Hartley, because they were I'm sure it's Hartlepool, a Hartlepool based company.
Yeah. Right. So I mean, I suppose we're getting a lot of bad experiences on site.
I know. I'm so sorry this has become so negative.
No. It's actually quite interesting. I mean, heartbreaking in a way. Mm-hmm. And you would hope things have changed. I mean, do you feel if you were 16 now, in your view, do you think things would have changed?
I would like to say it's changed, but I don't think it has, because I was.
Do you know people, or is it?
I do, yes.
Yeah.
I had obviously I don't have anyone working for us, but I nearly did.
Yeah.
She's actually. She's done what I didn't do, and she actually has moved away from the decorating world and gone into something else. And I literally had her for one day. This was only a few months ago, and the idea was to give her like a small trial, see where she's at. Newly qualified, young, and then I was going to start paying her like wages from the other jobs I had lined up. And I only had her for one day, and what she told me in one day was so heartbreaking. She's gone through much worse than what I've gone through, and this girl's only 18. No, she's 19. And she's 19 now.
Yeah. And
the sexual assaults, the sexism, everything. She's gone through absolutely everything. And there's no wonder she's packed up and gone.
Well, no, there's not. I mean, there must be. There are laws to prevent this kind of thing. I mean, are they? I mean, what's your view? Are they ineffective? I mean, what? Because it is a significant problem.
It is. Yeah.
I've got 2 daughters.
I know.
And just listen to this is kind of making my blood boil.
It's still out there. It's unfortunately, I don't think sexism will ever die. It's alive and well.
No, but I mean, well, it's. I mean, do you think anything could be done about it if there was a will?
Well, this is why I went off and did my PGCE.
Right.
Because I think we can get I don't want to be a self-employed painter and decorator until I'm dead, because obviously I'm in my 30s now, but I do have a strong belief, and I know I'm going to be right, that by the time I get anywhere near retirement age, retirement won't be a thing. There will be no retirement age. There won't be state pensions. There'll be nothing. It'll be work until you die. And I don't fancy being an 86-year-old painter and decorator. So I'm
There's some jobs you can do, and there's some jobs you can't.
So physical ones, obviously not. So I do want to be a painting and decorating instructor.
Right.
So I am qualified to do that, and I will be looking into do that, in the near future. I think when I was doing my PGCE, it was just before the first lockdown.
Right.
And that held me back, because when you do it, you need the experience, and you need the classroom experience, which obviously I wasn't getting.
Yeah.
And then coming towards the end of my PGCE and coming towards the end of all the lockdowns, I got pregnant.
Right.
So I got knocked back even further. So
it's I mean, you're having a hard time on sites. At what point did you set up Lady Magnolia?
I tried to move away from decorating. So I did the odd jobs with a friend for the National Trust.
Yeah.
But that wasn't steady income. That was just here, there, and everywhere. Was
that like a 0 hours contract or something?
Yeah. Right. And then eventually
you might as well be self-employed, I suppose.
I know. Yeah. Then just trying to get the timeline right here. I got a job at KFC.
Right.
And once again, it was just an extreme toxic environment. Once someone decides they don't like you, they can just pretend that you've done something and then get you fired, no questions asked.
Right.
So I got accused of swearing at a customer. But I got the statements. There was 2 girls who went behind my back and did this. One statement said, I swore at the customer. And the other statement said, I stuck my fingers up. So They were contradicting each other, completely, but I was just fired anyway. So left that, and then I went to university and did media and education. Because I thought, I don't know. I can't even remember why I went into that.
How old were you when you went to university?
Just turned 22.
Right. So, I mean... because you said you didn't like school, and you were constantly belittled at school. You must have had decent enough grades to get you.
Yeah, I had to go redo my maths.
Right.
At a college in Durham, in Washington, which is no longer there anymore.
Did you do that on an evening, like a night class, or?
I think it was like 1 day a week.
Right.
Yeah.
So you were able to work around.
So
that.
this is the annoying thing, because I did actually get the GCSEs. I got 2 C's in English.
Right.
I got a D in maths. But obviously I just redid the maths. And then I got a C in cookery, and then a B in art.
Right.
It was a B in cookery and a B in art. So I had 2 B's and 3 C's.
Right, and then redoing your maths, that gives you all you need to do. What about, because obviously before you get to university, you've got to have A-levels or some sort of equivalent.
It was me and VQ.
Right, so because that was a level 3 qualification, that then replaced your A-levels and enabled you to go straight into a degree course.
Yeah.
So, because at some point then, you must have found, because you've been through an awful lot, and what is quite heartbreaking in a way is that you seem to be continually told that you can't do things. And even for the strongest person, that's going to have quite a dramatic impact. But at some point then you've decided, actually, I can apply to university and I can do this.
Yeah.
What gave you the confidence to do that?
I'm stubborn. That's how I ended up. When I finished Carillion, I was the first and only girl there to get a level 3.
Right.
Because from the start, so from level 1, there was about 30 of us. By the time we were doing level 2, there was that number had halved.
Yeah.
And then by the time we got on to level 3, I'm sure there was about 8 of us. And I got the highest marks out of everyone.
And is that what gave you confidence to...
Yeah, so from being in level 1, being told, so you sure you don't want to be doing something else, to basically just give them all the finger in the end.
Right.
So I thought, look at me, I proved you all wrong.
That's nice to get that kind of side or that kind of outcome. So basically what it's sounding like, the way I'm reading this, is you've had a lot of people putting you down.
Oh, yeah.
Through school,
yeah,
through your apprenticeship.
Yeah.
Lots of people telling you, And what it sounds like you're saying to me now is that that's just made you more determined.
It made me more angry and more stubborn.
Right.
Yeah. It didn't get the the outcome that they wanted, for me to just disappear.
Yeah.
It just made me more stubborn and just made me scream louder, I suppose.
Right. Can I ask you, just because you mentioned earlier ADHD?
Yeah.
At the age you are now, looking back, do you feel that? I mean, did you know you had ADHD, or is that
No,
something?
I'd never heard of it, and if I had, it's just something that boys get, have.
Right.
It's nothing that girls would ever have.
So how did you realise that?
I've just met so many people who have it.
Right.
And then tell me, and I'm like, that's what I do. I do that. It's just everything. I know people like my partner says, oh, you just want to have it, but it's not about wanting to have it. It's just realizing that it explains absolutely everything.
Yeah.
It just opens.
And has that helped?
Opens the door to like all my struggles. You know.
Has that understanding helped then?
Yeah, it's just questioning things all the time. If something people with ADHD, if something doesn't make sense to us, we don't go along with it.
Yeah.
If we don't think, well, that doesn't make sense, but why? I ask questions, and people don't like that.
Yeah, no, that's that is true.
Mm-hmm.
So, in terms of you've had a couple of jobs. At what point did you think I'm setting up on my own?
So I got sacked from KFC, went to uni, and then nothing really came from that. When I finished uni, I randomly got a job as a carer, because obviously naturally I was back at the job centre.
Yeah.
And she said, "Oh look, do you fancy doing a care course?" And I thought, "Oh, that looks interesting." You literally did 2 weeks. That's all it takes.
Yeah.
To become a carer, 2 weeks of sitting every day, apart from the weekend, of course. And then we had like 2 different companies we could have gone with, and I picked, and one of them just obviously. I picked the second one. I can't remember why I didn't pick the other one, because I think I was offered a job on both. And I was literally there like a month and a half, but I think I was like a home carer. I wasn't working in a home.
Yeah.
So I was bouncing around other people's houses, and back then I didn't drive. I only had a motorbike. So I was bombing around on my bike. At one point I've actually been a mobile cleaner.
Right.
So I've been a cleaner as well a few times, and I've worked at the Sage twice. And it's just, I just end up in jobs, and then they just don't last. I either get let go or sacked, or something just doesn't work out. I've even worked in Subway as well, and that became toxic. I didn't get sacked from Subway. I just walked out.
Right.
I just reached me the much as I could take, and I went, I don't care about the consequences. I'm gone.
Yeah.
So, and absolutely nothing was working out, and I became a carer, and it was the same thing again. It's like, what is it with me in jobs where I can only last a few months without having to leave or being fired for breathing?
Right.
And that's how it felt, And
so basically, I suppose, did you then feel this is my only option?
Yeah.
I'm good at this.
It's all I can do.
It's all you can do. So, so how did you go about setting that up then?
I was sitting in the job centre in Washington, and they had leaflets for the business centre in Sunderland. I think it's called BIC. And it's being self-employed was something that I never wanted to do because of the whole anxiety around it. Is it going to work? Is it not going to work? And I've always was always single and had my own flat in Washington. So you're responsible for all your own bills, and couldn't drive. And that was the other thing that put me off. I think, well, I can't afford to learn how to drive. I especially can't afford a car, which is something I would need as a painter and decorator. And I went and I had a business advisor, and originally I think I was going to add cleaning and ironing things onto it. But then she said, look, that might be too much. She says, you're best off just sticking with the painting and decorating. And she goes, have you got a business name? I went, yeah, Biker Chick Decorating. And then I had these business cards on Vistaprint, and it was just like black, and it had like obviously a male decorator holding a brush, and the brush was on fire. And I just liked it because obviously I could ride motorbikes, and and I didn't drive. I only had a motorbike. And then after a while, I just kind of didn't like the name. I just thought it looks like I'm gonna burst into people's houses on a motorbike and set fire to the place. So
not necessarily the best advert for something.
No, Biker Chick. So I was biking, and I set the Facebook page up, and it was Biker Chick Decorating, and this was 11 years ago. And I didn't really know how to set the business up, to be honest. Because obviously this is quite a long time ago now.
Yeah.
And it says you can get funding to, to help to sort you out. So I think it was like £1,000.
Yeah.
But you've got to justify everything you're buying.
Yeah.
So you've got to have it in your business plan. So she was helping us write the business plan and everything. And side note again, I just remember one of the questions, because I'm no good at writing. I'm not academic.
Right.
How I got through uni, I'll never know. And how I got through doing my PGCE, I'll never know, because that's another ADHD thing again.
I suppose you got the qualifications, so there's a capability there.
Yeah.
But perhaps it's maybe just something you don't enjoy.
No,
I think it's pretty obvious you don't enjoy that.
I'm not a writer, really, to be honest. And one of the questions in the business plan was like, why would anyone ever hire your services? And I just wrote underneath, because I'm mint. And I would put that as in a joke, and my business advisor just laughed, and she goes, nah, just keep it in. So why would anyone hire you? Well, it's true, isn't it? Because I'm mint. So still struggling on the business name. I wanted the grant to get me driving lessons.
Yeah.
So I had the driving license, and then put the rest towards, tools, brushes, rollers, roller trays.
That makes sense.
Things like that. But then I got declined. And I got confused. And it was, because you can't drive. Well, I'm using that to go and get the driving license. Oh, no, they said that you can't do that. So once again, it was kind of like another stab in the road. It just society going, no, you can't do anything. Stop on the dole because you're useless and stupid and you can't drive and all this. And if it wasn't for a friend lending me the money to go and get my license,
right,
I wouldn't be here.
Once you'd got your license, were you then able to get the grant?
So once I got my license, so that took a couple of months, and then I reapplied for the business loan, and basically made out it was for all these different tools and things like that. But it wasn't. Once I got it, half that money went straight back to my friend to pay for all the lessons.
Right, it's you seem to be building a heck of an amount of resilience here. Just
I know, but once again, stubborn.
Yeah, that's
It's just like being constantly told that you're not good enough to do this, you're not good enough to do that, you haven't got this grade, you haven't got that, and then you go and then you're constantly sacked from all the jobs you've ever tried to do.
Yeah.
And then when you do try to go on your own, it's kind of like, oh no, you can't do that. Sorry. But obviously I didn't have a car, so I was going around on my motorbike, so I had to be quite creative where I had like panniers, so I'd shove a load of dust sheets on one side and my tools would go on the other side. My pole used to go in the middle, so I was actually sitting on my roller pole and I'd have the stuff strapped on the back with bungees.
Because you would get stopped by the police, and because you just got this picture of like some sort of medieval jouster on the motorbike.
No, but with my original business logo, because eventually it was actually my uncle, because I was still struggling with the business name, and it was my uncle said, well, you hate Magnolia, don't you? And I said, well, all decorators hate Magnolia, because it's everywhere, isn't it?
Yeah.
And he was like, well, why don't you be Lady Magnolia? And it was just bang. Oh, yeah, that's perfect. And I drew like a flower, so it's actually on your cup you were drinking from.
Oh, yes.
That was my original business.
Yeah.
So me and my friend who lent me the money for the driving lessons, we drew that together. And so I got a jacket made with that on, and this jacket that I had at the time, that was like a lilac colour. So I was riding around with this lilac colour coat on and all my tools and everything strapped on me overalls and that. And I remember getting some looks, when I'm stopped at roundabouts. I'm like, what are you looking at? Have you never seen a female painter and decorator on a motorbike before?
Yeah, that's...
So that's when, and then eventually...
It sounds like an AI request now, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Intelligence request.
So that's how I started. So I used to... So my friend, she... the one who lent us the money for the driving lessons again.
Yeah.
She had this blue Peugeot 107. Was it a 106 or was it a 107? No, it's a 106. And she was getting a different car, so I got use of that car, even though it wasn't mine.
Yeah.
It was technically mine in a way to start off with. So I started driving around in that, because before that I would have to arrange with the customers to drop steps and ladders and pasteboards off, because that's the only thing I couldn't get on a motorbike. If I could, I would have. But and then I got my car, and then I started building up that way a little bit, and then just word of mouth, and then it built up from that, and eventually I did get I got a different car because the Peugeot kept breaking down, and And well, you need your car on the road, don't you? And it was just becoming expensive. You know, the clutch went and the exhaust fell off, and a spark plug went all within 1 year.
Yeah.
in his car. And then I got a Cedar Beefer with roof racks on the top, so I could put the ladders on the top of it.
Yeah.
And I got my business logo put on the back window. And then, do you remember when we had the Beast from the East?
Oh, yes.
Well, the snow took one of my letters off on the back window. So instead of saying Lady Magnolia decorating on it, it went AD Magnolia. And I couldn't get the L to stick back on because the snow took the letters off. So I had that car for a while. And then I decided that I didn't want to let customers buy the paint anymore. And I wanted to use my own paint because, you know, over the years, you work, you know, what paint works, what doesn't work.
I'm going to say, I mean, I remember employing a decorator, and I'd provided them some really cheap paint from B&Q, and they gave them that, and I think they were on for like an extra day from what they'd planned.
Yeah, you have to pay for that,
Yeah.
And I was getting sick of, because I'm so old school, I still like to use the oil-based satin woods and, you know, things like that. And I would say that to the customer, and they'd still come back with water-based, which takes longer. And I just thought, oh, no. So after having Lady Magnolia for, would have been 5 years maybe, I just thought, right, okay, I'm going to step up once again, and I'm going to start getting the paint, and I'm going to start including that in the price, and then all the materials and everything else that comes with it. So I opened up a Dulux account in the Johnston's and Crown and things like that. So, and I could start sourcing my own paint. At least that way, I knew that I wasn't walking into complete disasters from B&M, you know, which was starting to grain on us a bit. And then the car wasn't big enough anymore. And in early 2019, I traded the car in and got my first ever van.
Right.
I had a Peugeot partner, and then 2 months later, I went in Team Valley and got it all sign rated.
Yeah.
So it was my first ever sign rated, you know, with my logo, everything on it. It looked amazing. And I had that for a while. And then when I was pregnant, I crashed it.
Oh, dear.
Yeah, well, it was going to go anywhere because it wasn't suitable to put a baby seat in. It wasn't anything like that.
So what have you got now?
It's a Peugeot Rifter.
So you got a van again. Everything's back to normal.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
But Tony's bought that, the partners.
Yeah.
He's bought that outright. So once again, if it wasn't for some external support that way, I wouldn't be where I am now.
Right.
So I think I had a car before that, just because it was more of a family car for when my son was first born. It was just better for him. But the car I got now, it has to be. I have to be able to get my child in it, and all my stuff in it at the same time. And the car I got now is absolutely perfect for that.
Right. So we're sorted with the car, the van. Mm-hmm. There's clearly you've gone through an awful lot.
Oh, it's so much
adversity that you've been through. So I'm not going to ask you about the downsides. I think you've covered that.
Yeah, we've covered all the negatives.
What's the biggest achievement, do you think?
I would say it was my business becoming
getting there.
Yeah. Eventually, I'd never been so. I think just before the first lockdown, so 2019 was kind of like the last year where I thought I'm finally financially secure on my own. You know, I had no plans to ever have a boyfriend or have kids or anything like that, and I thought, right, what can I do next? I've conquered this now. What's next? You know?
Yeah.
And I was quite optimistic, and then I thought, teaching. You know, I thought, well, I don't want to be a decorator forever because, you know, it does wear on your
physically,
your joints, physically,
yeah,
and mentally.
Yeah.
You know, I hadn't realised just how burnt out I was, even though I didn't have any children or any other responsibilities. You know, when you're constantly going to work and then you're pricing jobs up after that, and then everything else in your life starts to fall away a little bit.
Yeah.
You know, your housework and any downtime. I wasn't having any time off at all. I might take a week throughout the whole year, but I wasn't taking any time off because it just didn't cross my mind.
No.
I haven't been on a proper holiday for 14 years. And I still couldn't anyway because I don't really have anyone to go with, and then it's the money, and then it's the hassle of it. So
your long-term goal then is to I suppose ditch the self-employment, become a teacher.
So the idea is, in the near future, like was just said before, is to move on to become like an instructor.
Yeah.
Because we need more. I know once again it's that positive discrimination, but we definitely need to have more.
You need
women
someone in that industry,
in the colleges, things like that, because
other people can go to. So
everything that I've gone through in my apprenticeship and in my young, life, it's like I see we're still not getting young girls when we do, they're dropping out.
Yeah.
Why are they dropping out?
That's it. Whereas if you go into that, then you can be that positive role model and show them that through sheer stubbornness,
it's stubbornness
that it can be done. I think that's fantastic, and a lovely direction for your journey to go.
But this is it, because now I'm a mature woman.
Yeah.
And everything I've gone through, I don't want women to go through, young girls to go through the same. So they need a voice, and I have to be that voice. So just say like that girl who was working for us, she obviously just didn't have that support, or she wasn't believed. So everything that she was going through, and that broke my heart to think that 20 years, nothing has changed.
Yeah.
Sexism is alive and well. The dinosaurs are still out there, but Dulux have done a study, and in 10 years' time, I think it's 64% of decorators will be gone.
Right.
And women still only make about, 10 to 15% of that.
Right.
So we have to do something. We have to make the trade more appealable, because I don't think painting and decorating is going to go away anytime soon.
I think you're probably speaking for a lot of trades in that. I think certainly your journey where it's going to be, I suppose, an envoy to speak up for women, and I think I can only wish you all the best on that journey. Hev Govan, Lady Magnolia, soon to be an ambassador, I hope, for women's rights within the trades. I thank you very much for appearing on the podcast.
Yeah, it's been an absolute pleasure.
Cheers.